Good morning, everyone. This is Greg with the National Weather Service in Spokane, and welcome to a special weather briefing. It is Tuesday, the 12th of January, and we're going to talk about a very windy system that's coming in, as well as a wet system that's going to continue to produce precipitation throughout the region. So here is our overview. We're looking at a timeline here of Tuesday today of continuation of some light to occasionally moderate precipitation. Our snow levels have risen. We did receive areas of heavy snow in the Cascades last night, but a lot of this precipitation is now trending towards rain. As we move into tonight and into tomorrow, we're going to get another slug of significant precipitation, mainly in the form of lowland rain and some high mountain snow. And then as we get into late tonight and into Wednesday, tomorrow, our attention is going to turn to the potential of some very windy conditions developing, and we'll have some maps here to show you where our primary areas of concern are for the late tonight into tomorrow morning time frame. What are the communities that we're looking at most seriously for significant winds? Those are highlighted in the orange here. It looks like the Idaho Panhandle, especially in the Coeur d'Alene area, and some of the higher terrain around Coeur d'Alene could be especially impacted by the winds developing late tonight into tomorrow. The Pullman area, possibly Lewiston, and the Spokane area will have the potential for some wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. And we'll also talk about what we're going to experience with all of this precipitation coming in, the runoff with the rain, and where those impacts may be as well. We're going to go to the most significant potential impact with this system first, and that's the development of windy conditions. And the time frame that we are looking at for this is during the pre-dawn hours for the potential of some sporadic, strong southerly winds. And some of those winds may produce gusts of 55 to 60 miles per hour, mainly in the areas that are shaded in the red or shaded in the pink. The pink areas that are shaded are some of the higher terrain areas around Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and up around Sandpoint. And those areas could see wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. One of the really difficult aspects of this forecast is that the winds are going to be very strong above the ground level. And sometimes these winds will not penetrate all the way down to the surface where we live and where our power lines and trees are. So we have high confidence that we're going to have very windy conditions in the mountains. But whether or not we're going to see some of those gusts surface to the ground is still somewhat in question. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next map here to kind of put some of these wind gusts in perspective. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds are what we are expecting around the Wenatchee area, up around Colville, and in some of the sheltered valleys of northeast Washington, and even down on the Camas Prairie. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds are relatively common across the inland Northwest, and they typically result in scattered power outages, breaking of tree limbs, and the occasional knocked tree that will come down. What we are looking at for this particular system, especially in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and Pullman areas, is wind gusts in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range. And these kind of events are less frequent. We get a 50 to 60 mile per hour wind event once, maybe twice a year, and they do cause significant issues. These often cause numerous power outages. Crosswinds can produce treacherous driving conditions, and high-profile vehicles can be quite difficult to drive. And there is the potential the wind aloft will be strong enough late tonight into tomorrow for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts to potentially occur, and we may get some of these gusts sporadically through the region. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are wind events that occur on the order of maybe once every few years. And when we get these kind of events, these are the ones that cause widespread power outages, and some of these power outages can linger for days. Hazardous or dangerous crosswinds result in 60-mile-per-hour winds or greater. This is when it's dangerous for driving, especially with high-profile vehicles. This is where we see sometimes our campers or our semi-truck trailers actually tip over. So at this point in time, the most likely scenario is the 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, but I can't rule out some spots getting 60 plus miles per hour with this event during the day tomorrow. This is the impact outlook for our winds. And this is just the wind impact. And we have the areas shaded in orange here, and those are in our wind advisory currently. We are examining the forecast, taking a close look at it. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these counties may be upgraded to high wind warnings later today as we continue to examine some of this data. The areas that we have shaded in yellow here are areas that will probably experience some 40 mile per hour wind gusts and possibly up to 50 mile per hour winds. And those are our more frequent, more common type wind events. The Okanagan Valley, up around Omak, isn't particularly favorable for a westerly wind event like we're experiencing. So it may look a little strange that we have one area there that is not highlighted on this particular map, but it does not look like this is a particularly strong weather pattern for the Okanagan Valley. Another aspect to this storm system will be the snow, and we experienced some heavy snow in the Cascades and the Cascade Valleys this morning. Parts of the Methow Valley picked up 8 to 12 inches of snow overnight and into this morning. The majority of that snow has ended, and for the duration of this system for tonight and into tomorrow, we're expecting our snow levels to be relatively high. We're not expecting any significant lowland accumulations either in the Idaho Panhandle, Northeast Washington as well. For the remainder of this storm system, we're looking at snow levels to be on the order of 3,000 to 4,000 feet or higher. So the rest of this system is going to produce generally rain. This graphic here shows the rain forecast. And this is the storm total forecast for precipitation that occurred early this morning all the way through tomorrow afternoon. So what we are looking for is several inches of precipitation over the Cascades, and much of what we expect to receive in addition to what we had for snow will be rain. So we do have an area of concern in Chelan County, where portions of that county received 3 to as much as 5 inches of wet snow last night. We're looking for an additional 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches of precipitation on top of that in Chelan County, which could contribute to rises on small streams. We may also experience some rock slides and landslides in some of the steep terrain in Chelan County as that runoff really increases later today and especially tonight and into tomorrow. Another area of concern is where we see the yellow and the oranges over the Idaho Panhandle. Snow levels there last night were higher, but we have started to produce runoff into some of our small streams and our creeks in the Idaho Panhandle. We're looking at an additional inch or so of precipitation from this afternoon into tonight and into tomorrow morning. So that is going to raise our concerns, especially for the Paradise Creek area, for Moscow. And we're also looking at significant rises on the Palouse River and some of the other rivers that feed into the Coeur d'Alene. Potential impacts with the system coming up for the next 24 to 48 hours would be steep terrain rock slides. We've lost a lot of the frost in some of our soil, and as the soil continues to saturate, the steep terrain can produce rock slides and mudslides. We're looking at rises on small streams and creeks, and field flooding is something that is quite common this time of year, especially in the Palouse and some of the flatter terrain around the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. Here's a quick look at some of our rivers. These are over the Palouse area, the Palouse River near Potlatch. This is a brand new forecast that came from the River Forecast Center. We're looking for it to rise very close to the flood stage of 15 feet. Those rises will occur rapidly during the day today and in through the night, with a potential crest tomorrow morning close to flood stage. The St. Joe River at St. Mary's, that one is expected to rise considerably as well over the next 48 hours or so. It should remain below action stage, but it's something for us to continue to watch. Here are some other rivers, the Coeur d'Alene River at Cataldo and the Coeur d'Alene River near Enaville. Our base flows are currently pretty low with these rivers. That is a good news, because over the next 48 hours or so, we're going to see some pretty significant rises. At this time, we're not anticipating any floods on the Coeur d'Alene River or its more significant tributaries, but it is something that we could see some minor flooding on some of the small streams feeding these rivers. And moving over into Chelan and Okanagan counties, we're looking at some rises on the Stehekin River and for the Wenatchee River near Shaston as well. And some of the smaller streams and creeks that feed the Wenatchee River may rise quite a bit as well. As far as our potential impacts for rises on streams and creeks, as well as rock slides, these are the counties or the zones that we have concern about. And we have the Moscow area highlighted in orange there, because we are going to give special consideration and watch for Paradise Creek. That one is, of all of the rivers and streams that we are watching the most closely, Paradise Creek that flows through Moscow is the one that gives us most concern at this time. So to wrap this up, we're going to talk about our confidence levels here. We do have high confidence that we're going to see another round of significant rainfall today through Wednesday. Precipitation should begin to taper off more by Wednesday late morning into the early afternoon. We have high confidence that it will become quite windy late tonight and especially tomorrow when the cold front passes through in the morning to early afternoon hours. We have moderate confidence levels that we're going to experience 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in the Pullman, Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, West Plains, and possibly up towards the Rathdrum Prairie. We also have moderate confidence that we will see rises on creeks and streams. As far as low confidence scenarios, we have a low confidence that we'll see any widespread wind gusts of 60 miles per hour or more. We'll probably see a few areas that do measure some 60 mile per hour wind gusts, but it does not look to be widespread at this time. We also have low confidence that we're going to see any significant flooding. River flooding, with the exception of possibly Paradise Creek, looks like most rivers will stay within their banks. There may be some mild or minor field flooding, but at this time it doesn't look to be terribly significant as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give folks the opportunity to ask some questions. I am going to unmute participants. You should see a pop-up window or an interface that will allow you to unmute yourself and ask questions. Are there any questions from folks out there this morning?
Hey, Tom Jenkins out in Cheney. What are the lows for tonight and the expected wind chills? Do you know that?
We are expecting a rather mild wind tonight. Temperatures tonight should remain in the 30s. We may even have a difficult time dropping into the mid or lower 30s. So wind chills there you'd probably stay north of 30 degrees for your wind chills in Cheney.
Okay, and then do you have an estimated time frame of when the peak of the storm will be in Spokane County?
You are breaking up there. Could you repeat?
Do you have an estimated time frame on when the peak of the storm will be in Spokane County?
We expect the peak wind gusts to be in the early to late morning time frame tomorrow. That is when we'll have our highest wind gust potential. We will still see the potential for winds gusting over 40 miles per hour well into the mid-afternoon time frame, but our peak potential for the strongest wind gusts will be during the early morning hours into the late morning hours tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Of the wind again?
Could you repeat?
Would you be able to talk about the direction of the wind again?
Sure.
Right now, you have Polly. I'm going to give you the number.
The wind forecast map back up. For late tonight into the pre-dawn hours, our wind direction is going to be mainly out of the south. As the cold front whips through tomorrow, mid to late morning, our winds are going to become more southwesterly or westerly. So I believe that our peak wind gusts will likely come from a southwesterly or westerly wind direction tomorrow.
Can you please mute everyone again? We can't really hear you.
Okay, I will repeat the question or repeat the answer. The question was, what will the wind direction be? For late tonight into the pre-dawn hours, we are looking for winds to primarily be out of the south. As the frontal system arrives early tomorrow morning, we're looking for that wind to become more southwesterly or even become westerly by late in the morning to the afternoon. Our peak wind potential, though, would most likely have wind gusts coming out of the southwest.
Will you be posting the?
Yes, I'm recording this briefing right now. This briefing will be posted on the internet. You will also receive an email with a link to where you can access the briefing.
All right.
Any other questions?
Right.
Do you anticipate any avalanche problems in higher elevations?
I would anticipate that the avalanche danger is increased. Anytime you add heavy snow on top of layers that have different densities, that's when we often have concerns of avalanches. If you are interested in the particular danger for your county or area of concern, I would suggest going to your local avalanche forecast center's webpage to get the specifics for your particular site.
Or it could be put on as your
Any other
power
questions?
of attorney.